Hi everybody, Jeff here again. Hey, today I'm going to show you remove popcorn from your ceilings, from your walls, and how they then go ahead and spray on texture onto your walls and your ceiling. Now, it's a very labor-intensive job, and usually it takes them probably at least a couple of hours just to hang the plastic all over your house to make sure they don't get the spray where they don't want it to go. So they basically create a cocoon around your entire house there. And they'll go ahead and spray it, and then when they're done, they'll roll everything up and take it out the front door as if they were never even there. So they'll spend probably 3 or 4 guys might be doing it, taping up this film all for about a couple of hours or so, and then they'll get started. Here you can see they are hosing down the ceiling with a nozzle and a hose that is fed from a water pump outside. They will let this soak for about 20 minutes before they start to scrape off the popcorn. Now that the popcorn has had time to soak and loosen and get wet, they will now begin scraping it off the ceiling. And that's what they're doing right here. Now, after they're done scraping, you can see what a huge mess it leaves behind and why they have to spend so much time wrapping plastic all over the floors, because it gets everywhere. They just scrape it and they let it drop to the floor, and they peel all the plastic off and roll it up into a ball and take it right out the door with them when they leave. It's like they were never even here.
Let me get a damp rag when you get a damp after that.
Outside here you can see the machine is pumping. What they do is they mix with water the texture material, which is very much like thinset or like the drywall mud, only they mix it a little bit thinner, more waterier. You'll notice how when they spray, they use a very constant rhythm, almost like a dance, to evenly spray the coating all over the wall. He's also doing the ceiling here as well. Here's a few photos of them in action, and you'll hear me talk about this later. Of course, they primed the wall first before they sprayed on this texture. Keep in mind that the texture does not cover everything.
Yeah, I just sprayed you, so stay over there and let's say your name. Talking about having a good day. Well, sorry, you can't wait a second. That was the wall you were going to hit.
Now, after they spray on the texture, they'll come back about 15 minutes later, and this is a texturing trowel, or this is called a knockdown trowel, and it's just a wide plastic flexible trowel they'll gently scrape it across the ceiling or the walls, and it takes all those little globs of the mud that was sprayed onto the wall, and it flattens them down, or they call it knockdown. It knocks them down. That's how you get that little stucco look. Well, you can see the contractors have packed up and gone home. They took out all the plastic and just rolled everything up in a ball and rolled it out the door like they were never here. So here's what you're left with, a nice medium texture here on the walls. And I wanted to point something out to you. A lot of people have this huge misconception about when they texture walls. They think that they can just leave flaws all over the wall going, oh yeah, the texture will cover that. Well, it doesn't really, because here I want to show you all of this tan coloring that you see on here. This is the previous paint that was on there, and the texture was just shot right onto the paint. So you can see the texture doesn't cover everything. It's not like they lay on some thick layer of something and then squirt this on. The texture is just pretty much like sprayed on, and it shoots these globs that land on the wall there, and they flatten out. So if you were to have like a flaw right here where you see this tan area, the original wall, if I had a flaw right here that I didn't fix, it would still be there right now. You wouldn't even see it. And in fact, if you see this white cloudy area here, and this cloudy area here, and this cloudy area here, these are all areas, these are holes that I had already patched before these guys showed up and sanded them nice and flat. So the wall was already perfectly flat when they came in to add their texture on top. So you can see that had I not done that, you probably still would have seen, the flaws and everything through there. So you always want to make sure that your wall is as perfect as it can be before they come in to add the texture. And here we are, just looking at a little bit more of the texture here in the living room. Wanted to also point out that once they apply the texture here to the walls here, you have to let this dry overnight, and I would recommend putting your air conditioner as cold as it can get. So we've put it on 71, and it'll stay like this overnight. And don't go anywhere near the walls, don't touch them, because they're still wet until the next day. And depending on the mixture that the company uses, they may tell you to wait until the next day. Now I can see right here by looking at this little section here, this still feels a little damp. And this is 6 hours later. So that's why you really want to let this cure and dry up overnight. And you don't just throw paint on something like this. You must prime first. So anytime they do anything like this, or anytime you put brand new drywall up, you always prime before you paint. In fact, I can tell anytime I go into one of the properties that I'm working on, if I see a chip on the paint, like in the kitchen somewhere, and I go to peel up that paint, I can tell they didn't prime because it just peels right off like a sheet of thin rubber film and leaving a chalky substance behind on the wall. So always make sure you have to seal this first with primer and then paint it. But they also warn you to paint it right away too. So after it dries overnight, don't waste any time getting this painted. Don't let it sit for a few weeks, because this drywall mud here, which is essentially what this is, it will soak up all the moisture and humidity out of the air, and it will start to crumble on you if you don't get it painted. So keep all of this in mind when you have your walls textured. Just want to show you a couple of more examples here. So here you can see how they put the texture over brand new drywall here, and you can still see the drywall mud nice and clear through it as though it's transparent. So this shows you that you really can't rely on the texturing here to hide all your flaws in the wall. Just want to keep reiterating this point and drive it home for you before you even call the guys in, to make sure the walls as complete and flat and perfect as you can get it. If you go and cover up any holes anywhere, like you can see we did here and here, make sure it's all sanded down first. In here too, you can see it in the master closet. See how you can still see the drywall mudding from when the drywall company was here. And luckily they did a nice flat job. And then while we're on the subject too, if we're talking about drywall here, this is the way you want to see them do it when they're covering up the screws, okay? You always want to see these stripes going up the wall. You never want to see little round dabs or square dabs where they just think they're going to cover up a nail head or a screw head. The best way to do it is to create a plane that goes all the way up the wall like this, so that it stays nice and flat. You don't see any bump outs. You'll never see bump outs when they do it this way. So for all of you DIYers at home here, this is what we call a hopper gun. You may have seen people use this before. This is how the people that don't have the big huge machine hooked up to a truck outside will do texture. And I've used this on occasion. I will only do this in a small room. I won't do mass volume amounts like what you saw those guys do. The reason is because the way this works is you hook this up to your hose from your compressor. And the problem is it works for a couple of minutes and then it starts to run out of air, so the compressor has to get restarted and you got to wait for it to charge up to a sufficient level again that it can control the spray onto the wall. And then also, if you look here, you've got a limited amount. You have to mix up some in a bucket that make it a little watery, and you dump it into the hopper there, into the top of the hopper. See, it goes down in there. And then, you know, you're just going to be continuously doing this and stopping and starting and stopping and starting. So this method isn't really very efficient for doing anything bigger than like a bathroom. I did a kitchen ceiling and 2 kitchen walls with it and one time, and that was pretty much enough. So anything bigger than that, I always just call in the guys that have the gun and everything, because they have that giant machine outside there, that big old mixing machine, and it's got gallons and gallons and gallons of this stuff, and they never have to stop. From the minute they start, they just continuously go through the entire house and they don't have to stop. But these cost, if I remember, about 70 bucks or so. And this is what it looks like, and you'll find this in all of your big box stores there. And it is fairly easy to use, but you know, it does clog and you have to keep restarting your compressor, and it's just a very inefficient use of your time, but it does work. And this is what the material looks like that you're going to use. You buy it in a bag, and it says on here, you know, wall and ceiling texture. So this is what you look for in the stores. Usually comes in a larger bag here. So that's it, and I hope this helps you. And remember, just look at the way the pros do it and use that same type of rhythm and the techniques that you see them doing in the video. So I hope this video helps you, and you can always leave comments below for us, ask any questions, and we'll answer them for you. And if you would, please leave thumbs up, good positive comments, and you can subscribe to our channel by clicking on the round icon that you'll see on the end screen, along with the other two little video screens there that you can click on and view some of our other videos. So that's it for today, and have a great day and good luck out there.